Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about why medical coders are considered essential. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. I created my channel with the hopes of sharing all the things that I know and the tricks and the tips and the lifestyle about being a medical coder. So if you are brand new to the field or if you're a veteran medical coder, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. I hope that you'll like this and I hope that you will share it at the end if this has helped you. All right, so let's get started. Now, why are medical coders considered essential personnel? I had a viewer write in asking me, are medical coders considered essential personnel? Yes, we are, because of the simple fact that we are responsible to make sure that the provider is getting credit for all of the work that they are doing. This affects the revenue of any facility, any hospital, any doctor's office, any place that is treating patients. This will affect their revenue. If the coding is incorrect, obviously it's going to affect the revenue coming in. And if the provider is not documenting everything that they're doing, it's obviously meaning that they are going to be losing money. So a good medical coder will be cognizant of all of the details that need to be there. It's important to ask questions. It is important as medical coders that we know that it's okay to ask questions, because the thing is, we need to understand what is actually happening in these encounters so that way everybody can be covered, the patient and the provider and the facility, okay? Because it's all about making sure that the patient isn't being overcharged, right, for the services that are provided to them. And it's also making sure that the provider understands that when they're documenting, they need to document in detail, okay? And there are many ways to help them, because you as their medical coder are responsible to be a partner to them. And I say this all the time. I talk about coder development, and I talk about partnering with your providers and how important it is, because this is why we are essential. We are essential for this reason, okay? We are the ones that are going to have their back. We're the ones that are going to watch out and make sure that everything is being picked up like it is supposed to be. In this time of the pandemic, we are considered mission essential personnel. But the thing is, we do get to work at home. For my facility, we get to work at home. But in any circumstance right now, medical coders would either most likely be at home. I know every other medical coder that I know from other facilities is at home right now. But they are continuing to work because we basically keep the wheels going, right? They can see patients, but how is anything supposed to get posted if the coders are not touching the encounters, right? So it's very important to always make sure that good medical coders are on these things. And everybody has a potential to be a good and great medical coder, a very high caliber medical coder. Everybody has that potential. Everybody. And I say this all the time. And some people don't really think about the detail things, and that's where a lot of stuff gets missed. But because we are responsible for this, there's a difference between a coder that is just looking at the documentation and just coding the status quo, and this is the way we've always done it, and I'm just going to put these codes here because that's what it looks like it is, versus a coder that's going to look and see if there's anything that is missing, or if something doesn't make sense. They're actually actively going to go to that provider and ask, what happened here? I need to be clear so that I can understand and know what is happening. I've had many instances where I've rescued entire clinics because I can look and see, oh, this doesn't look right. Just because of the way that the documentation and the diagnosis that are selected, it's not matching. And that's my first cue that something's wrong. And so then that's when I start looking for, okay, this doesn't sound right. And I'm looking in the book and this doesn't make sense. And then when I'm talking to the provider, that's when it comes out. Oh, okay, well, that's not this procedure code. That is actually this procedure code. So there's a difference when somebody can tell what the difference is. So that revenue can make or break a whole facility, which is, again, why we are essential and why it is very important to make sure that you are good at your job. And in order to be good at your job, you have to be dedicated. That is what medical coders do. Sometimes people don't know this, but it is true. And as you start to learn more, as you start to read more, you'll start to see the difference versus being at school versus being in the real world. There is a complete separate difference, okay? But yes, that is mostly the reason that we are essential, because we are the cornerstone of making sure that facility is getting all the revenue that they possibly are entitled to. Based on the provider's work, there's been whole facilities that have gone under because the coding was not done correctly. Yeah, so we are essential. But some of the other things that we are called to do as medical coders that's not related to medical coding, I wanted to bring up, only because at every facility that I've ever been to, it was an extra duty. Sometimes you'll notice that there's little tiny print when you are going into a job, and it'll say other duties as assigned. What does that mean? Whenever there's like a mass casualty, and a mass casualty is defined as like something catastrophic, like if there is a mass, if there is like a hurricane, right, or a tornado or some other natural disaster, a flood, and there is a huge surge of patients that comes in, this is called a mass casualty, okay? Mass casualty exercise or mass casualty incident. And anytime there's lots of people that are either injured or, maybe they're deceased, they'll come to the hospital, and the medical coders, because they are part of the patient administration division, they're part of that sort of setting, right? That department, they're going to help a lot of times. Now, not every facility, I'm just saying this is some facilities, okay? But everyone that I've ever been to, has actually called in for the coders to come and help and take documentation down from patients and get as much information as they can, or escorting patients and things like that. These are just parts of the things when you are working in a hospital, okay? Or when you're working at a doctor's office. They also have groups of doctors that also prepare for these things as well. It's always important to know that this is what you're walking into. Being in the medical field is not just about, you're going to be a medical coder and then that's all you're going to do. It is about being disciplined in yourself, being ready in case something happens at your facility and that they need all of the coders to jump in and help with the paperwork, because that is what we do. We are the record keepers. Essentially, that is what medical coders have started out as. We used to be called medical librarians back in the day, before my time, okay? But I'm just saying, we were called medical librarians, okay? And so we are the record keepers, and we do make sure that all of the information is there. We take as much as we can, when we have to participate in these sorts of things, okay? Like I said, it's not always, but this is just something to be aware of. And also, we have to make sure that we are disciplined within ourselves. I've gotten a few questions lately about certain states that they have approval for certain recreational things. If you are working in a medical facility, any recreational thing that you are participating in that can show up on a urinalysis, you need to reconsider, okay? Because the thing is, that has no place in a medical setting at all. If you are doing anything that's illicit like that, that is unacceptable. And yes, maybe there's some states that do allow it, but I cannot think of any hospital facility that would be willing to be okay with that. It is not okay, okay? That's number one, it's not okay. Number two, you have to be mentally and physically aware at all times, okay? Not only do you have to read a patient's chart, right? You have to make sure that you are mentally there and understanding what you're reading, okay? It's hard enough sometimes to understand the words, because even I get confused sometimes, okay? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Some of these words, I'm like, man, and I read the New England Journal of Medicine, okay? That thing is not messing around. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that means. I don't even want to look, but it is true. And so if you are under the influence, this can be even more difficult, okay? So these are some of the things that you have to be aware of. And also, one other thing, Some facilities do not allow tobacco use. That's another question I've been getting a lot of lately. They don't allow it because they want all of their employees to be models of health whenever they are in a facility. There are some facilities that are like that. Okay, I'm just saying, you know, I'm just giving you guys the rundown. I want you guys to know everything that you could possibly know before you go in. Okay, these are some of the things that you may be up against. Now, in your facility, they may be okay with your tobacco use. They may be fine with it. But I'm telling you, I work currently at a tobacco-free campus. There is no smoking at all on the campus. So if people want to do that, they have to wait until after they leave. And there's another facility that's not too far from me that they have a zero tolerance policy about tobacco use. And they've actually let people go because they do not allow that. They give their people time to quit, but if they can't or they don't, then they let them go. And it is an impact on health, and they are in the business of health. So that's why, you know, I'm just saying, again, I don't make the rules, but I'm just saying that this is what is the reality out there. And these are some of the things that we are called upon to be good role models, to be, you know, not doing things that are harmful to our ability to be able to code these charts, you know. So yes, that is some of the extra activity as far as like, you know, helping out if there's a mass casualty or something or a big disaster. And like I said, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I've been in plenty of exercises, so I mean, I'm prepared. And you know, that's all there is really on that one. But yes, that is the long and short of it. Yes, we are essential, and yes, our profession is not going anywhere. Okay, and it is important because the more valuable you make yourself, as far as like the greater your knowledge, the more you're asking questions and concentrating. And when I say ask questions, sort of like how I tell you guys to ask very thoughtful questions here. Anything that's general, I usually give you guys like a video or something like that if I've already done it. If it's a general question or something like that. When you're coming to me with the very thoughtful questions, okay, this is good. Then I have something to work with. I know what direction to go. I know how to approach answering your question. It's the same thing when you are in the professional setting. If you're asking general questions that you can, oh, this is a good thing to bring up. I didn't even think about this, and this is just on the fly. Okay. If you are in the hospital setting and you're asking general questions, so you're either your coworkers or to a provider, they're going to get irritated with you. And I'm just telling you that just so that you're aware. This is why I tell you guys to learn where your resources are. But if something's not making sense and you've already looked it up and you're like, okay, I looked this up, but this doesn't make sense to me. Can somebody please explain this to me? Then you're okay, because then you can show you've already done your homework. But if you're asking very general questions, you know, that's where you can do your research. I've had a viewer who wrote me and asked, what is medical coding? What is it? It's I mean, you can go through the videos. I mean, and there's actually videos on YouTube that actually explain in detail what it is. So that's an example of a very general question. You know, it's just like, okay, that is, if you're really interested in it, then wouldn't you be doing your research? That's the key there. You have to do your research. But it would have been different if the viewer would have said, oh, I'm interested in medical coding. I have a question about, do you really need these two books? What is the difference between ICD-10 PCS and ICD-10 CM? What is the difference there? That would have been like, okay, that's awesome. I can answer that question, because that does get confusing. One says ICD-10 CM and then the other one says PCS. What is the difference between the two? One is the diagnosis book and one is the inpatient procedure book, obviously. But just so you know, if you didn't know, ICD-10 PCS is the inpatient procedures book, and ICD-10-CM is the diagnosis book. So, but yes. So again, when you think of very detailed questions, when you're asking me, same thing when you are in your office setting or your workplace, you have to learn to ask very detailed questions because it's all about your approach to things. Okay. And I've said it many times. I wanted to be an attorney before I got into medical coding. So I've always sort of tried to think of a different way to ask questions so that I can get the answer that I need without, making it so very just where I can look it up myself, because if it's something that you can look up yourself, then you obviously should, because that will help you to learn it. And sometimes I know it gets aggravating to have to look up all of this stuff all the time. Can't you just give me the answer? Sure, I could. But you know the expression, if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. That's what I'm doing. Okay. And so sometimes if I just give you guys a video or something like that, that's pretty much the reason why, I want you guys to feel free to do your research. And then I've had emails from people who say, I've done my research, Blue. I heard what you said. And I'm so confused about XYZ. This is good because they've already done their research and they've already looked and seen and done all this other stuff. So that I like. That makes my day. That I really enjoy that. Like I said, I'm a nerd. This stuff, it really does not take a lot to make me happy, especially when it comes to working with new people, especially touching this next generation of medical coders. That's really awesome to me. Or even talking with veteran medical coders who are like, okay, I just need help with this because, we do it at our facility here. We do it this way, and I've always wanted to ask somebody else. Oh, well, there you go. So, but yes, I sort of changed courses here a little bit, but, and I hope you guys don't mind. I don't think you will, but, I mean, that's pretty much it. But yeah. We are essential. We are needed. But you got to make yourself valuable so you be even more needed. Okay? It's very important to be as valuable as you possibly can. I'm just saying. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But I hope if this has helped you, I hope you'll share it. I hope you'll hit that thumbs up button. And I will go ahead and close this one up. So if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.